All right. 2023 Dodge Challenger Hellcat Jailbreak blows up, right? Blows up within 20 miles of the dealership. Why? Because he didn't respect the break-in period, right? We all know that when you buy one of these cars new, that they give you a 500 to 1,000 mile break-in period. I think it's 500. It may be 1,000. My dealership told me 1,000, and then my personal homeboy, who happens to be a mechanic, he told me 1,500. But these cars have a break-in period. This guy didn't respect it, took his car off the lot, burnouts, donuts, hard pulls, blew his supercharger up within 20 miles of the dealership. He just bought it, paid $120,000 for it, which is crazy. And now it's in the shop. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? It's your boy Knockout 360 here with another video, man. So as you can tell, I'm in the car that makes us a car vlogger. You know what's going down. I come around. Let's get into it. Car content, car shows, car reviews, car meets, anything and everything car related happens on this channel. So if you're into that, make sure that you stick around because you're in the right place. For everyone else, hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you know what's coming out and when it's coming out. This is going to be a quick one here. This video has been going viral all over TikTok and Instagram. So basically, a dude purchased $120,000. That in and of itself is a red flag, but you know, some people got it like that. $120,000 Dodge Challenger Hellcat Jailbreak, brand new, 2023 is what he said. And apparently, he blew up the supercharger within 20 miles of buying it. Let's just watch the video here. So it starts off with the damn thing being on the back of a wrecker.
20 miles from the dealership after paying $120,000 for a jailbreak Challenger.
That's your first mistake, $120,000 for a jailbreak Challenger.
All right, SRT gang, so 20 miles after the dealership.
20 miles after the dealership.
Lost the supercharger.
Supercharger's blown. And it looks like he's back in the mechanic department of Dodge. So I've never actually heard of this happening, but it makes perfect sense because when you guys, and I don't know, tell me what your school of thought on this. So when I bought my Scat, they had a break-in period of 500 miles, right? 500 miles. I bought my Scat and I think it had like 14 miles on it, 13 miles on it, whatever, 13 miles on it, which obviously that's just being driven from the assembly line to the damn load-in truck, from the load-in truck to the dealership to wherever the hell they took it around the dealership, right? So when I bought my Scat, it had 500, that was the break-in period, was 500 miles if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even 1,000. I don't remember. I think it was 500 though. But I talked to my homeboy, who's a legitimate mechanic. Shout out to my man, Chris Dillon. You guys know him, Mad Scatter. He's been on the channel numerous times. He told me that before I start beating on it, I need to at least give it 1,500 miles or close to 1,500. That's going to be a full break-in period for, you know, I guess the car to be completely ready for you to open it up. Now, you guys know me. I don't beat on my car. I don't beat on my car to this day, and I damn sure wasn't doing it when I first bought it. But these cars will limit you, or they won't allow you to go into the full burnout mode, line lock, or track mode. So automatically within 500 miles, it will not allow you to get in track mode or line lock. So you can't open it up 100%. You're not supposed to be able to. I don't know what the 23s are looking like, but when I bought this one, the track mode was deactivated or disabled and line lock was deactivated and disabled. So no burnouts and no full track transmission, wide open, everything. But apparently this guy was somehow able to bypass all that, and he screwed himself royally within 20 miles of owning this car. To my understanding, burnouts, donuts, and some hard pulls. That's what they were saying in the comments. And he blew his supercharger within 20 miles of owning it, within 20 miles of the dealership. So that's not necessarily to say he only put 20 miles on it. That's just to say he blew it within 20 miles of the dealership. So he could have had 100, 200, 300 miles on it or more. So he really could have been beating on it, or, you know, whoever owned it first could have been beating on it, or whatever the case may be. But this is one of those cautionary tales. You really need to heed the break-in period. A lot of people don't take that break-in period seriously, but you really need to. I mean, once these cars get good and used to the abuse that you're going to put it under, they're pretty much fine. I've seen these cars go through hell. You guys see you watch my channel. You know the people that I roll with. You know the things that they do to their car. Not only do they beat the hell out of their cars, Friday, Saturday, and maybe even Sunday, but then they daily drive it to work and back and forth to home and wherever else they got to go Monday through Thursday. So it's not one of those things where you beat on it and it's totally broken. These cars are built for abuse. I mean, they're SRT products. Everything that's under the hood of these cars, at least for the scats and cats, are reinforced, strong enough to be able to deal with the type of wear and tear that we put our cars through, especially the newer ones, like the 2020s and up. And I say that to say, I think Dodge from 2020 and up, when Dodge basically dropped the Charger wide body, they pretty much understood the type of consumers that, buy these cars. They know what we do with these cars. So it's one of those things like, we know that you're going to burn the hell out the tires. We know that you're going to swing it and sling it. So let's give you something to give you a little more peace of mind that these cars aren't going to break or, break down immediately. But somehow or another, this guy was able to do that. As you can see, it was on the tow truck. Now, we don't know if there was 20 miles on it. He said it was 20 miles from the dealership. There could have been 1,000 miles on it. He didn't even specify that it was a 2023. He just said that he paid 120,000. So I'm assuming it better be a 2023, because if you're paying 120 for any other year, you're stupid for doing that. But I'm assuming it's a brand new 2023 Dodge Challenger Hellcat Jailbreak, right? 807 horsepower. You already know the deal, but they're really specific when they tell you about the break-in period. Now that kind of leads me to my next point. So when I first bought my car, I think my break-in period was 500 miles before I could open up track mode and before I could do line lock and start swinging and burning out and stuff, right? Like I said, the Uconnect system had those two modes disabled. I couldn't even access them. I could get into sport, street, but I couldn't touch track. Now, my mechanic, my guy, Chris Dillon, shout out to my man, Mad Scatter. Check him out on Instagram. He's Dodge everything. Anything that you want to do with your Dodge as far as under the hood is concerned, he's the guy. You want to chop the pipes? He doesn't do that. I don't think he does that, but he can refer you to somebody that can. But anything else under the hood of the car, modification, stuff like that, you talk to him. He specifically told me, he was like, do not start getting crazy in that car until about 1,500. And he even said, preferably your first oil change. Now, your first oil change should probably be around like 3,000 miles. But let's be honest here. Who in the hell is going to wait 3,000 miles before they get in the track mode and open this car up? I couldn't do it. But he did. He definitely said at least 1,500. At least 1,500 or close to 1,500. At the absolute minimum, if you are just anxious and can't keep your foot off the gas, can't keep your foot off of, the brake and the gas and doing burnouts, at least give your car 1,000 miles before you start beating on it, right? What's your school of thought on that? Because Dodge says 500 because that's the limit that they put on the cars as far as the disabling certain software features and all that stuff. But most mechanics will say give it 1,000 or 1,000 plus before you start beating on it. When did you start beating on your car? For you guys that got your car either brand new or relatively new with extremely low miles, like under 1,000 miles, when did you start beating on your car? What was the point that you started beating on it and got comfortable beating on it? Because clearly this guy can take some advice from you all, or some advice from us, because apparently he didn't allow that to happen. Because generally speaking, these cars should be pretty much bulletproof when it comes to the engine and the transmission. Like at this point, you don't hear too many issues with engine and transmission issues at this point with Hellcats and Scat Packs. Now, back in the day, the original SRTs, the first generation SRTs, true. I heard a lot of issues with the transmission, and even the Hemi tick and all that stuff. You don't hear stuff like that much nowadays. You really don't hear about, Hemi tick or my car blew up or this, that, and the other. Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually do know somebody that had engine issues with their wide body Scat Pack Charger. But I don't know if his was brand new though. His might have been used and had some mileage on it. But he did have engine issues and ended up having to take it to Dodge. And long story short, they had to put a brand new 6.4 in there. But once again, that could be because of the previous owner and what they were doing, or it could have been because what he was doing with the car. But for the most part, these engines and transmissions, the drivetrain is pretty much bulletproof. Like, Dodge knows what we put these cars through, and they built the perfect product to, accommodate us. You know what I'm saying? So for you to blow up your supercharger within, hundreds of or thousands of miles of owning it, that says something. You was obviously not heeding the directions that you were given from the dealership. Now, I know for a fact that with the Supercharger and the Hellcat, it may be different from the Scat, because the Scat is just a naturally aspirated 6.4. So they may say that you want to hold off to 1,000+ miles before you start beating on it. I know with the Scat, they told me 500. With the Hellcat, given the fact that it's, 700+ horsepower, supercharger, all that stuff, they might want you to hold off on it until at least 1,000 miles. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, I've never owned a brand new Hellcat, at least not yet. So talk to me on that. But yeah, cautionary tale here, guys. When you buy these new cars, take it easy on them. You don't need to do a burnout leaving the dealership. Don't be that guy. If it's used and it's already got work in on it, have fun with it. But if it's brand new, don't be that guy. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to do a burnout leaving the dealership. You don't need to do a 0 to 180 once you get on the highway for the first time in this car. Don't be that guy. Give it time, break it in, 1,000 miles, 1,000+, 1,500. If you really want to be on the safe side, I've heard first oil change. A lot of people have told me, rule of thumb, first oil change, and then you can start beating on it. Then that's your car. Take it to the strip, take it to the track, highway, whatever the hell you want to do, the back roads, whatever you get into. But first oil change is generally rule of thumb. But you guys know, like I know, when you got 800+ horsepower under your foot, you can't wait 3,000 miles. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't wait 1,500 miles in this car. So I already know what you guys are going through. So, but as always, guys, talk to me, man. How do you feel about this? This is kind of the first time that I've heard of this happening. You would think that this would happen more often, and it probably does. Maybe it just doesn't hit the airwaves like this one. But to see a brand new Jailbreak back in the dealership after a couple hundred miles, it's interesting. But as always, it's been your boy Knockout, man. Real quick video. See you in the next one. Peace.